Hey guys, this is Candle, and welcome to another collection video. This is probably going to be the last one of the year. I've got a couple more games that are supposed to be coming in the next week or so, but I'll probably hold off till I got a decent stack for next time, like I do this time actually. So we're going to start things off right away with some of the big releases that have come out recently that I've played. Starting things off with the Halloween game, Luigi's Mansion 3. It was pretty good. I ended up finishing it in like 2 days. It's a lot of fun. It's kind of almost a hybrid in terms of gameplay between Luigi's Mansion 1 and Dark Moon, where you've got this one central location. You're kind of going back and forth throughout it. But what gets me for how it resonates with Dark Moon is Dark Moon had this mission structure, right? Where you went from mission to mission across like multiple houses. Well, Luigi's Mansion 3, you're in a basically a haunted hotel, a giant skyscraper haunted hotel, and each floor is themed differently. Whereas like Luigi's Mansion 1, it was all a big mansion, and so it was like all themed pretty much the same. But here you've got like completely different themes on the different floors. Like one of them is a dance club, one of them is a movie studio, another is a castle arena. Then you've got pyramids and so on. So it's all really interesting, but it is a lot of fun. Definitely worth picking up and checking out. Another one that was definitely worth getting is The Outer Worlds. I was kind of on the fence about this one because I wasn't really sure I wanted a huge open world RPG, another one. But this one is actually more semi-open world, and this is from Obsidian, who are the same people who made Fallout New Vegas and KOTOR 2, and it's made up of a lot of the team's made up of a lot of people who worked on Fallout 1 and 2, and the Outer Worlds is pretty much just Fallout in space. That's pretty much exactly what it is, and it is a lot of fun, really wacky, and it's really great. I haven't quite finished this one yet, though. I think I'm like 2/3 of the way through. I just made it recently to Monarch, so yeah, I don't think there's like too many more places to go to after that. I honestly don't know, though. I do know it's only supposed to be like a 20-25 hour game, which is, really good considering how big games get nowadays. And speaking of big games, I also picked up Death Stranding. This is the special edition, which comes in a really nice steelbox, steelbook case, which I am always a sucker for steelbook cases. It was only $10 more than the standard edition, so that's why I picked that up. But this is from Hideo Kojima, the guy who did Metal Gear Solid, stars Norman Reedus, and Mads Mikkelsen has a guest appearance from Guillermo del Toro. This is the game that kind of rose out of the ashes of Silent Hills, which was the canceled Kojima and del Toro dual game that was going to be amazing. And it's not really scary, it's not a horror game, it's more just weird in that unique Kojima way, where it's like a post-apocalyptic Earth where there's these special rains that make time accelerate whenever it touches something. So like you can age very rapidly until you're like old and dead. And so it's really a lot of fun too. I think it's really fun. I can understand why some people wouldn't, because the major gameplay loop is basically just fetch quests, and you are basically an errand boy who makes deliveries. You are basically the Amazon delivery guy, basically. And the whole gameplay loop is about figuring out how to traverse these large mountainous regions, mostly on foot. You do get vehicles later on, but mostly on foot, as you're trying to go from settlement to settlement to reconnect everybody and make it all one big thing again. So it's really interesting, a lot of fun for me, but I can see why other people wouldn't really care so much for it. The other big recent release I got was more of a budget title, but it is the Medieval remake for PS4. This is really much a cut and paste, one-to-one, shot-for-shot remake of the original PS1 game, which I have never actually played. But what's really interesting about this is if you actually 100% complete this game, your bonus, your reward for doing that is you can play through it all again with the original PS1 game, except running at 1080p, which is really nice. It's really fun game. It's basic. I mean, it's a basic game from like 15-20 years ago, something like that. So it's you're not getting much more than that. It looks really nice. It's the remake just blows me out of the water how well they made it look, but it's still pretty much the exact same game it was like 20 years ago. But still pretty good, and apparently it runs in 4K too. I didn't realize that. But yeah, it's a PS4 Pro enhanced game. Then the next one I have is Tetris Effect, which is supposed to be a really, really good Tetris game. I have not actually played this yet. This is actually even still sealed. I picked it up the same time I got Death Stranding. It was only 20 bucks. This also has a VR mode that's supposed to be really good, but I can't actually check it out right now because I don't have PlayStation VR, unfortunately. But this is supposed to be really good. Once I finish Death Stranding, this is definitely going right into the PS4 to check that out. But continuing on the PS4 train, I also picked up a bunch of other games, including World of Final Fantasy, which is supposed to be a pretty good Final Fantasy spin-off where it's like all fan service, but it's still really good. I have not played it yet, but I'm really looking forward to this, being a huge Final Fantasy fan myself. Once I finish up Final Fantasy 1 on the channel, I will be moving on to Final Fantasy 2 as well. And then I also picked up the Uncharted, the Nathan Drake collection. This is Uncharted 1 through 3, minus the multiplayer modes for 2 and 3. But this is like the campaigns for 1 through 3, and running on the PS4. I have not played this yet. I do want to go back and play through these games again at some point, so I'll probably be doing that at some point as well. But then I also picked up the Resident Evil Origins collection. I really enjoyed Resident Evil 7 and the Resident Evil 2 remake. But some of the older Resident Evil games I have a harder time getting into because of the way the controls are. But this includes the Resident Evil 1 HD remake and also Resident Evil 0, an HD remaster of that as well, which was a GameCube exclusive game and was kind of a prequel to the original Resident Evil, kind of telling what happens to, I think, Bravo team, might be Alpha team, but one of the teams that went to the mansion before Chris and Jill went there. Kind of explains what happened to them and so on. So I am looking forward to playing Resident Evil 0 as well. I've beaten Resident Evil 1 before. I also got, speaking of other collections, I got the Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls collection. This was originally not released on disc in the US, in North America. It was not released on disc over here, but it was in Europe for some reason. However, after Detroit Become Human came out, they eventually released a Quantic Dream collection, which had Detroit Become Human as well as the Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls collection, kind of in a single box. You know, two Blu-ray cases in a single box. But this one, however, I got separately because I already have Detroit Become Human, and I saw this on its lonesome at GameStop and picked it up. And again, I do want to play through these again at some point. I do kind of want to do Let's Plays of them too. I know there was supposed to be some graphical tweaking, like some asset changes between the PS3 and the PS4 versions for Beyond Two Souls. I'm not sure like what really they changed for Heavy Rain, although I do know that this includes the Taxidermist DLC bit, which was originally a gameplay demo for the game. And then I also got a PS3 game, Gran Turismo 5. This is the first Gran Turismo I've had. I have not played it yet. As you can see, a lot of these games I haven't played yet. I just haven't really had time recently. But I've enjoyed the more recent Forza games, so I've been getting a little bit more into simulation racing. I was always huge into like arcade racing, like Need for Speed and Burnout and so on. But I've been getting a little bit more into simulation racing. And so I wanted to check out Gran Turismo, and this was only like a couple bucks. This was only like $2 or $3, I think. So I definitely picked this up, and yeah, definitely looking forward to playing this. This is actually supposed to play at 1080p as well, which a lot of PS3 games were not actually capable of doing that. Even though the PS3 could do it, a lot of games weren't possible. This one also is 3D compatible, which, I mean, is insane to me, because, you know, who has 3D TVs anymore? They don't really make them anymore. So, speaking of Forza, though, I also picked up Forza Motorsport 3. So now I have 3 through 6 of the Forza Motorsport games. I do want to, at some point, get the Horizon games as well. But I'm looking forward to checking this one out, too. I don't think I finished Forza 4, but only because it seemed to be like, going on, like, forever and ever and ever. But, yeah. Then I also picked up, Super Butterbuns did a video recently talking about these games. I picked up The Darkness and The Darkness 2, which are supposed to be pretty good. I've had my eye on them for years, but I always forgot about them, so I'm definitely looking forward to playing through these at some point. This one irks me a little bit because the there's like water damage, or like the actual art cover here is like really wrinkled for some reason. I wish people would take better care of their games. Yeah, you can see how wrinkly that is. I really wish people would take better care of their games, but still, I got it to add to my collection, my ever-growing collection of games, and I'm definitely looking forward to playing those as well. One game I'm probably never going to play, however, is Big Bumpin', and this is one of the trio of Xbox and Xbox 360 games that were available exclusively through Burger King back in like 2005, I think, as kind of a promotion for the launch of the Xbox 360. And they were only like $3 a piece at the time. I already have Sneak King, and now I have Big Bumpin'. So the only one I'm missing, I forget what it's called, but it's kind of like a kart racer, except you're on like little tricycles. So this one is kind of like bumper carts. That's pretty much exactly what it is. So not really looking forward to playing this one ever, but I do find it interesting that this is an Xbox 360 disc, but it actually has both the original Xbox and Xbox 360 versions on the same disc. So you can play the same disc on both games as well. And I do love that there is an ad in here for a Burger King credit card. That is just absolutely awesome. So I found this just randomly at a GameStop. So I'm glad to have it in my collection. I'm only missing one more for those. Then the last two games I got are Lego City Undercover. This was a launch title for the Wii U, and I've always wanted to get it, but I still haven't played it yet. Like I said, I haven't had time recently. I've been working a lot of overtime at work, you know, as we get up close to the holidays, stuff like that. And also I've been trying to work on my writing and trying to reboot my YouTube channel as well. But the last game I have to talk about is another one I haven't actually played, but the cover art for this is really, really cool. It's Ghost of the Dusk. This is a Jake Hunter detective story, and apparently this is an ongoing franchise. It says Jake Hunter's 30th anniversary on the back, but I don't know how many of these actually made it out of Japan. I think this is kind of a visual novel / point-and-click adventure, kind of similar to the Ace Attorney games in terms of gameplay. Probably more closely to the Ace Attorney Investigations games in terms of gameplay, because I don't think this has like any actual like courtroom stuff. This is like all investigation, but the blurb on the back here is kind of interesting because it says a shaky lead about a stiff in a haunted house starts Jake Hunter on a perilous path of clues and dark secrets. And I mean, I'm all in on haunted houses. I love haunted house stories. My absolute favorite movies are like The Haunting and House on Haunted Hill and Legend of Hell House and stuff like that. So I'm definitely in on this. I just need to get around to actually popping this into my 3DS at some point. So anyways, that is it for now. I do, like I said earlier, I do have a couple more games I'm waiting on. One's supposed to come out on Friday, which by the time you guys are watching this, I should already have it. And then another one's coming out next week, and another one should be shipping from eBay within a week or so after that. So I do have like 3 more games I'm planning on picking up, 3 or 4 more games I'm planning on picking up by the end of the year, but I'll probably wait to do another game collection till the next year. So until then, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Please remember to comment, rate, and subscribe.